Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Chronically Jenny, and today I'm very excited to be taking you through a mobility aid tour. I did one way back in 2020, I think, maybe even earlier than that, when I had very few mobility aids. So this is going to be a big exciting video full of all the mobility aids that I absolutely love and adore. We've got everything from walking sticks, walkers, wheelchairs, scooters, to show you today, and I'm just so excited to show you the range of aids that are out there that might be helpful for you, that help me in different ways, and give you a little review of each product that I've absolutely loved using and has made such a difference to my life and my freedom being able to use these aids. I've also got some exclusive discount codes to share, so make sure you keep watching. Let's dive in. First up, we have walking sticks. As you can see, I've got quite the collection, and this is just a very small part. But I do want to talk about one of my first walking sticks. This is from Switch Sticks, and it's a fold-up stick that's adjustable. I had another one of these that got lost, so I ordered this one, and then I found it, and then I lost it again. So RIP sticky. But this is Cecilia. She's my purple mermaidy stick, and I still use her today because she is foldable and adjustable, and really helpful. This is kind of the Derby type handle, and I'm going to take you through some of the different handles because I don't find this handle the most comfortable type. Here are some other sticks. So you can get all different types of handles with sticks. This one is a ball handle, which I only ever use for my Cruella cosplay. Some people find that really comfortable, much more comfortable than other handles. And it is, but I just find it slightly awkward, and I found that I needed it slightly higher to use. So this is actually a flexi foot ferrule that I tried to paint gold and failed. But it gives you a bit more cushioning in your walking, so I highly recommend those. They do add height to the stick, but they're really helpful if you want to improve, like just give that cushioning, nice base to your walking stick. Then we have other different handle types. So my preference is for the kind of question mark style that these ones are in, because when you put your weight down through the stick, it's directly over the shaft of the stick, which makes it much more comfortable than something more like this, where your weight is outside of where the stick is, whereas this one's directly over the top. And something really cool that's a little hack that I found that you can do with these is, if you want a little bit of extra comfort on your handle, I have bought various tennis grips. So that's what I have on this yellow one. It's just a tennis racket grip. It's a little bit dirty because it's yellow and I've had it for a while, but they're really handy. You can also get them in kind of material version as well if you want something that comes on and off, or you can just buy them in rolls like this and stick it straight to your walking stick. I found that really useful little hack. And again, my beautiful friend Lizzie over at the Solace Sanctuary makes these amazing stick snuggies, which really help with grip. They look wintry, but actually they're a great way of gripping a stick like this that's made of acrylic when it's hot and your hands are all sweaty, because it keeps your hand in place. So she does amazing designs, so definitely go and check her out. There's also this kind of design which is similar to the question mark style. I'm not 1000% sure of the name of this, but it works the same way. It's just got a flatter handle, if that's something you prefer, directly over the shaft of the stick, again to give you some comfort. I just got this one from Amazon. This one is a drive stick, and the beautiful thing about this one is the handle. It is so comfortable and soft, because it's like, it's not memory foam, but it's that kind of vibe. It's really squidgy and molds to the shape of your hand, which is really beautiful. One last little accessory that I use with my sticks a lot is this stick holder. It basically looks like a giant hair curling thing. but it means that you can put it round your stick and it will fit anywhere, or most places. If you want to put your stick on the back of a chair, on another mobility aid like a wheelchair potentially, hang it off the side of a table or your bed or goodness knows where. It's just a really handy tool to keep your stick in place. If you have any further questions about walking sticks, please drop them in the comments. We're gonna move on to walkers. So now we're talking walkers. I got my first walker when I went to university, and it was a big step in my mobility aid journey and making sure that I could still be independent with my disability. It was a walker that I got for £10 off an old man on Facebook Marketplace, and the brakes didn't work properly, and it was kind of a boring one that every other old lady had, and so I decided to decorate it. It was a basic one from Drive. It looked like this, and I named her Wilhelmina. And the first stage of my kind of like decorating process was changing it from a boring blue by adding duct tape to make it zebra print all over, which just made it feel a bit more like me, especially in those early days of having a mobility aid and wanting something that represents your personality. I think that's really, really important in helping you use the aid that you need, and giving you that confidence to use it. So again, in my, I can't remember when, but when I was having a bit of downtime about using my walker, I decided to cover the seat with stickers of things that I absolutely loved. It looked like this, and it just made it so much more mine, because every time I looked down when I was using it, I saw all the things that I loved. Sadly, it did really, really break, so I had to get something new, but it was definitely a faithful little walker. It wasn't the most comfortable, but it definitely did a great service for me. So the next walker I got was when I realised that I kind of needed a walker and a wheelchair, because I'd had a wheelchair that I'd use on and off, but I would struggle to use it because I wouldn't need it all the time. I was much more ambulatory then. So, but I would go for days out with my walker and at some point need a wheelchair really, really badly. So I fundraised, so it's thanks to you guys that I was able to get the Rolls Motion 2. I got it in purple because, if you couldn't tell, it's my favourite colour. And it has been such a helpful tool over the years. The best thing about this is that it's comfortable both as a walker and a wheelchair, and it has 3 different modes that you can put it into. It has your basic walker mode, where you can just use it as a walker, a rollator walker. It has a kind of shopping mode, where you can get a little extra accessory so that you can put what turns into the back of the wheelchair onto the front of the walker, so it's out of the way of your feet, and it means that you can put bits and pieces in there and also hang bags off of the side of the walker rather than having them hanging around the handles. And then the third mode is wheelchair mode, and this is what helped me the most. With this version, you can only use it as a transit chair, i.e. someone has to push you around, which is a little bit annoying, or I find it a little bit annoying. I think that's just because I'm a bad backseat driver, and also my boyfriend often forgot that I had feet. So the wheelchair mode is great, but you can't really be independent with it like you can be with it as a walker. But I absolutely love the Rolls, and recently we went to NAIDEX, the big disability show in Birmingham, and I got to try out the electric version, which is really, really good, because if you are more ambulatory, you can still use it as a walker, but then you can use it as an electric wheelchair, which is a game changer because you can use it independently and on your own. I've only used it for a short amount of time so far, so I can't give it the full review, but I hope to do that very, very soon. So there's definitely a great option in that, and that version also has like the performance kind of wheels, which are air based as opposed to solid like the wheels on my rolls. But I do have a discount code for you if you are buying a Rolls walker from the UK or US web store for Rolls. You can get 10% off using code Jenni10, which is really exciting because I've been wanting to work with Rolls for years because I think it's such an amazing product for people. Next up is my beautiful little walker from Trust Care, and it's the Let's Fly, and I have named her Winnie. I have names for all of my mobility aids if you ever want to ask me the name of one of my mobility aids. And Winnie is perfect for, you just need to pop into the shops. So you need something, but it's a lot of effort. Something like the Rolls is quite heavy, so getting it in and out of the car can be difficult. Whereas something like the Let's Fly is really, really compact. You can get it in small cars and you can lift it out much, much easier. It's small, lightweight, foldable, and just really clean, stylish look. All of the rollers that I've had, bar maybe the Drive, have a really, really sleek look about them. They don't look like that old lady kind of stereotype that I thought about when I had the Drive version. So yeah, the biggest perks about the Let's Fly is the lightweightness and the compact size. The seat is not the most comfortable, especially in comparison to something like the Rolls, but it's really good if you just need something for around the house. Is really perfect, especially if you're someone like me and lives in a house with kind of quite small corridors, and also for something just to pop in and out of the car if you need to run errands. Finally, for the Rollator Walkers, I'm talking about this one, which is the Nordic Pioneer by Byacre. I love this one because it's made of eco-friendly materials. The wheels are really, really good for different terrain. If you're someone who likes to walk in different places, we really, really tested it out at a dog show that was so muddy, and you can tell by the fact that it's still covered in mud, but it did really, really well over that really muddy terrain. So it's excellent if you're someone who goes out and about walking more. It's also very lightweight, even though it's slightly less compact than the Trust Care Let's Fly. So it's another really, really good walker. Again, the seat is not quite as comfortable, but it's perfectly fine for needing to stop. So again, I think each walker I've talked about here is good for a completely different thing. They're all great in their own ways. So depending on what you're going to use it most for is where I would think about looking and think about what attributes of each of them you would be interested in. So now I'm going to talk very briefly about manual wheelchairs, because I do struggle to use a manual wheelchair because of my shoulders, because they're hypermobile. I really struggle with having the strength to self-propel. But I have used manual wheelchairs in the past. The first one I ever had was something I just borrowed off my aunt, who was a full-time wheelchair user. It was one of her old ones when I was having some surgery. It was kind of a recovery thing, and then I found it helpful on days I was really, really struggling, so I kept it and continued to use it as and when I kind of needed it before I got the Rolls. And then recently, now I need more of a sturdy wheelchair that I can propel myself, and because I'm wanting to get back into exercise and I can't really walk too much anymore, I wanted a manual wheelchair, and I didn't really know where to look, and I just happened to be scrolling on Facebook one day, the magic of Marketplace again, and there was a wheelchair up for sale for like £100 locally, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see it, and yeah, it's a little bit big for me, but it's been great in helping me get that little bit of exercise. I'm hoping to decorate the wheels again so it feels a little bit more me, and I've put different cushions and things on it to help it feel more comfortable as well. But in the end, the gentleman that was selling it ended up just giving it to me, which was such a beautiful, lovely moment in the community. Yeah, it was just a really, really sweet moment, because I was very happy to pay him money because that was very, very cheap for a wheelchair. But yeah, it's been a great start. And then when I was at Nadex recently, I tried one of the RGK wheelchairs, and they are so light and so beautiful and so comfortable. Even though it wasn't one that was made for me, it was so comfortable. So I'm hoping and thinking that maybe one day in the future I could afford and get something like that, because I definitely would benefit from it now that I know that I am using my manual wheelchair a little bit more, and trying to build up some strength in my shoulders so that I can do that. So next up we are talking power chairs and mobility scooters, and these have been the things that have really changed my life and given me so much freedom back. I think every mobility aid at every stage of where I've been on my disability journey has been like that, but most recently for me, where I have lost more of my mobility, these have been the absolute game changer. I'm very lucky to work with TGA Mobility here in the UK, and they've sent me a lot of their different products to try out and review for you guys, and it's been so amazing working with them. So the first chair that I used of theirs was the Will F, and that is a power chair which is a folding model, which means it's relatively lightweight. I think it's 20 something kilos off the top of my head. So for a power chair, it's relatively lightweight, and it folds so it can go in the car in one piece. We still needed a hoist. It hurt. Ian could put it in the car, my partner, but it did hurt his back. So so yeah, using a hoist is really easy to put in the car in one piece, and I found that really good. I did a lot of comparison videos over on my Instagram if you want to learn more about the differences, because they also have the Will C2, which is a slightly different model, which is not foldable, but has very different perks. So I did a little versus series. I think from the F, the perk is the folding and the being lighter weight and being able to just take it in one piece. And it does handle different terrain really well. It's a really solid power chair. I liked it a lot, but ultimately decided to keep hold of the Will C2. That is what I use most days when I'm out and about now. It's got such clever front wheels. There is a special name for them, but because of the way they turn, like you'll see in this video, they like do a 360 on the spot. It's really cool. It's lovely to drive. Both the C2 and the F are really lovely to drive. They're very comfortable, and the perk of the C2, it's a more expensive chair, but it's got better suspension. It deals with that terrain a little bit better, and because of the wheels at the front, it handles things like curbs and that kind of thing much better too. So again, it depends what you need it for, because the only thing with the C2 is it is a bit of a chore getting it in and out of the car. We had a replacement Motability car recently, and that had a much higher boot, so I was able to get it in one piece with the hoist, but I think it weighs 50 something kilograms. So usually what we do in our car is take it into 3 bits and have to hoist most of it individually. So it kind of depends what you want the chair for, but they're both really excellent chairs. Another really exciting thing that I got to try out at Nadex back in March is the new Will R scooter, which again is very similar in the same family as the F and the C2. I only got to try it very briefly, but it's looking like a really cool scooter. So again, I look forward to hopefully showing more of that on here and on Instagram sometime soon. So those are all of the Will family chairs from TGA. And then I've also used a scooter. It was the Proximo Minimo. The really clever thing about that is that it's self-folding, or we got the self-folding version. So literally you press a button and it folds itself up, which is so much easier, because I had a little bit of trouble with the F. It's like a button to unfold it, and sometimes that was a bit difficult for me to do with my hypermobile fingers. But the Minimo, literally you just press a button and it does it itself. But it does look a little bit more on the old lady scooter side of things. Now, something that arrived last week, which I'm extremely excited about, is the Scoozy. Now, the Scoozy is a beast of a mobility scooter, as you can see, and you can't get it in a car. So if you live somewhere rural that you want to be outside in terrain, going around, it's perfect, but you kind of have to have that within walking distance. It does have an incredible range. I think it wasn't even at a full charge when it got delivered, and it had 28 miles that it could go. So if you're into long distances, then it's probably the better scooter chair for you. And it looks more like a chair than a scooter as well. And something I also love about it is that it's that bit higher. So when I'm walking with my partner, it's kind of, I'm at the same kind of height. The other thing I love is that it goes really fast. And my dog loved this as well, because she can run alongside me, and having that feeling of running that I haven't had in years and years and years was a really, really lovely thing. So yeah, big thank you to TGA for letting me try all of those different things. As I say, ultimately the Wheel C2 is what I use on an everyday basis. So if you have more questions about that, please feel free to ask. But they have a whole range of amazing power chairs and scooters, and the best thing is that you can get 10% off any of their new power chairs and scooters if you use code Jenni10 at checkout. The final thing that I want to talk to you briefly about is something again that I tried at the disability show Nadex, which is the Omio from Adaptability. Oh my goodness, this was such a cool experience, especially as the lovely people from Adaptability let me try it right at the end of the show. So we got to kind of go around a bit more than other people who'd used it during the day got to do it. Like, I was really nervous at first, but as soon as I got used to it, the freedom was unreal. So the whole thing with the Omio is that it's a hands-free wheelchair that works with the technology that's a little bit like a Segway. There is a handle, not a handle, what do you call it, a joystick. There is a joystick that you can use, but it is so much cooler when you're using your body weight to use it. It's super sleek, super stylish. The only thing is it's also super expensive. I have known of people getting it via Access to Work, but again, it's a really expensive bit of kit, but it was beautiful to use. I had so much fun and felt so much freedom. I think from the videos you can tell how I felt about it. It's just a really cool, different, interesting chair. If you are looking at mobility aids and really want to get your hands in and try them, obviously there are different showrooms throughout the country, but a really good experience for me was going to Nadex in March. It's not on till March 2025, but it was an excellent experience being able to try out all these different chairs and walkers and different things to see how I felt in them, because I think with mobility aids you don't know how you're going to feel about something really and truly until you use it yourself, and it also gives you that opportunity to think about what you're looking for and what you need, and find out also what you don't want and what you're not really looking for out of a mobility aid, from a walking stick to a scooter or a wheelchair. So it's a great opportunity if you do get the chance to go. I think there are similar conventions all over the world, but Nadex is the one here in the UK that really lets you try out a lot of mobility aids in one place. So I highly recommend that. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that gave you an excellent idea of the type of mobility aids that are out there and what might work best for you. There's a reminder of all the discount codes that I've mentioned down in the description, and I would love it if you would like this video and give me a subscribe for more disability related content in the future. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. We're going to try and do a renewed version of my mobility aid Q&A very soon, so I hope to see you then.